Hey, everybody out there. Welcome to another music class. Know Nothing Music. Steven is my name. 30 videos in 30 days. Hit the like button, hit the share button, those things that I'm required to say to be a YouTuber. But yeah, I missed a day yesterday, so we're actually going to upload 2 videos today. A few minutes ago, we uploaded a video called Scale Degrees and Interval Names. So in this video right now, we're going to talk about triad harmonization. And what is a triad? We've done a video on this already. A triad is a 3-note chord, or your basic 3-note chord. There are 3-note chords that are not called triads, but triads contain the 1, the 3, and the 5 in a chord. And harmonization, we've done a video on this too. What is harmony? It is the chord. It is the backup notes that accompany the melody. Now, usually when I'm teaching this concept, I do not introduce it as the triad harmonization right away. What I say is, what are the correct chords? These are called the correct chords in a certain key. There's going to be times where there's exceptions to this rule, but this is the rule. Is when I'm playing what's called the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, there's going to be a triad that is the correct version of that chord in a certain key. And we'll do a full video on what's called, we could even call this video the Nashville number system. I mean, this is really what that is. Now, when you get into the next level of harmony, adding a 4th or 5th note to the chord, that's what we call jazz charts. But I'm not schooled enough in the ins and outs of what the Nashville number system is to the fullest extent, but I'm pretty sure when you're reading charts in a pop scenario, that's all they're doing, is they're looking at the triads, what the right triad is. But we'll just go with triad harmonization. That's the intricate word for it. But my point is about correct chords is that if I were to say, hey, play the 3 chord in this key, play the 7 chord in this key, play the 5 chord in this key, there is a thing you need to, they're not all major chords. They're not all minor chords. They're certainly not all diminished chords. There is a correct triad associated with each number in your major key. All right. So let's go through that. I mean, we've done a video on this before, but major, the way, and so this video will be what are the correct chords and also a little bit about how to build them. We did a video on chord construction, but just a quick review. Major chords are going to be demarcated by a large M in this scenario. In the last video we did on chord construction, I explained that usually when you're shown a major chord, it's going to have not a symbol next to it. It's just going to be, if I want you to play C major, it's going to say C. If I want you to play A flat major, it's just going to be called A flat. But for the purposes of having a symbol for every type of chord, we will have a large M for major in this situation. And the way that you create a major chord is you start at a note, you count up 4 half steps, that's your middle note, then 3 half steps, that's your top note, and that's that's how to make a major chord. Minor is a small M, minor, 3, then 4. Start at a note, count up 3, count up 4, and you found your 3 notes. And this little degree sign is called diminished, and that's 3, 3. So let's get into it, right? So we got our 1 chord. You're in a major key, so it's not surprising that your 1 chord is going to be major. So for instance, in the key of D, your 1 chord is D major. In the key of B flat, your 1 chord is B flat major. Your 2 chord is minor. Your 3 chord is minor. And again, when you're trying to find the notes after the 1, you have to use our original scale degree interval system to find which note is going to be correct. I erased a little bit right there. That's okay. Poor 4. It's incomplete now. Anyway, an imperfect 4th. Okay. 3 is minor. 4 is major. 5 is major. 6 is minor. And 7 is diminished, or that degree sign right there. Now, what you want to do is screenshot this, or maybe look up online like a more clean version of it. I just got my nasty handwriting or whatever. But, what you're going to want to do is this chart right there, how to create your triads and what your triad harmonization is. I would memorize that as soon as possible. And what this one day becomes is a music theory game that I play with all my students, okay? So you have to be able to construct your major scale using these whole half-step intervals, and you should have this memorized. And let's play the game a little bit, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we're on just the scale degree level, and I showed you guys this game before, and I say, hey, what is the 2 in the key of B flat? That is C, okay? Because The 2 is a whole step above the 1, and it's C. But the only way that the game changes when we're at the triad harmonization level is you're going to figure out the scale degree and then say the proper chord name afterwards. So to give you the same example, in the key of B flat, what is my 2 chord? It's C minor, because the 2 is a whole step above the 1 and the corresponding chord is minor. If you don't have this chart memorized, you can just have the chart in front of you. Okay, so you're looking at your chart and you're just doing the calculation. Once you have it memorized, you should be able to do it without looking at it because you have it memorized. And once you have it memorized, you should be able to do this without the help of an instrument or keyboard. In fact, it's probably going to make you better with music theory. If you look at me now, I'm not looking at my keyboard. I just have my whole and half step formulas down pretty well. So it's just like, you know, if someone were here quizzing me, I can try to like quiz myself, okay? The key of A, what's the 4? Okay, it's D major. I know that because A, 1 to 2 is B, 2 to 3 is C sharp, 3 to 4 is D. The 4 is a major chord. Therefore, the 4 chord in the key of A is D major. And eventually what you're going to, I mean, that one I didn't even do my calculation. I did my calculation years ago. I just have played enough music that I know that my 4 chord is major. But what you're going to, is D major. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to memorize this so you can do this calculation in any key. The quicker you can get to knowing what to do in all 12 keys, there's always going to be keys that you're better at. That's just human nature. I mean, I play tunes these days much more than I play one tune in all 12 keys. So I'm going to be naturally better at a certain number of keys, usually A, C, D, G, F, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's a different video. But my point is, this is your triad harmonization. You're going to want to memorize, just like you memorized whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and saying it backwards, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole. You're going to want to memorize that the 1 is major, 2 and 3 are minor, 4 and 5 are major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished. And your chord formulas, your half-step formulas on how to create these chords, the sooner you can do that, the better. Now, one final tip that I'll give you before we close out here. The way that I recommend memorizing these is not necessarily going in order. What I recommend doing is, first thing is you should memorize what the major chords are, okay? 1, 4, and 5, okay? From there, you can memorize, once that's in your brain, it's not too hard to memorize that. You could memorize that 2, 3, and 6 are minor. Okay, that's from process elimination. You know that there's an outlier called the diminished. That leaves the 7, and that's a diminished chord. That's how I'd recommend doing it. But whatever works for you, I would just recommend memorizing the scale intervals, the triad harmonization, and how to construct these 3 triads as soon as you can. So that's your triad harmonization. We'll do a video one day on 7th chord harmonization. But once you got this down on how to play it fluidly on your instrument, you're ready to basically read what's called the Nashville number system, which is, instead of saying go to G, it's go to the 1 in the key of G, which happens to be G, but it allows you to be able to transpose, meaning change keys around a singer. This is why it's so effectively to learn by number, is because you might have a cold. You might have to, there might be 5 singers you're playing with, and they're all different voices. You might have to play in A flat for one singer. You might have to play in C for another singer. And being able to switch between the correct chords, regardless of key, it's something that has just changed my career. I mean, I did it pretty early on. I learned this pretty early on, but before I even started playing piano, I learned this system when I was playing guitar and bass, to be able to fluidly navigate this musical system across keys. It's not that much work. Learning how to play in all 12 keys is not all that much work. Don't let people lie to you. It really is not that much work. My point is, no one really gets that good in under 2 years. And this system does not take 2 years to learn. Meaning, if you do the hard work early on and learn a little bit of music theory, you can be playing with high-level people across all keys pretty quick. So that's the video, guys. Triad harmonization. Scale degrees, correct chords in each key, memorize these formulas, know nothing music. 30 videos in 30 days. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you for the next one. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to grow this channel, so I'll see you around.